This is Nerd Rage, and here's my Omni Bomber build for Blood Mage. Let's start with the skills. To start off, we have a single Detonate Dead in our build. This is essentially our oh shit button in case we get stuck in a map like Mire or Augury, where it's really tight spaces and blinking around really quickly doesn't quite work very effectively. So we're going to have to actually have this just in case. On this, you're going to run Minion Pact, Concentrated Effect, Spell Echo, Considered Casting. I have Splinter on there. You don't really need it. You can just run a 4-socket. Save yourself some money. You're going to want level 7 at the max. You want it at the lowest level possible. All skills activated are going to have our lowest skill level possible. Our Spirit Gems you're going to want to max out if possible. I only currently have, I think, one of them maxed out. Should get into getting that sorted out. On Cast On Dodge, you have Detonate Dead again, level 7. You want to max quality all of these for extra AoE. Detonate Dead, Ambush, Inevitable Critical, Corpse Conservation, and Magnified Effect. This is going to be your main mapping killer and boss killer. You don't need to swap any gems for this build. Everything will die in one hit. You don't need to swap in Conk Effect or Considered casting or any of that. You can, but you don't need to. It's very unnecessary if you do the right prep, especially for pinnacle bosses where we essentially Batman prep and just set up a ton of ice walls and then just pop them the second we see their life bar. On the second Cast On Dodge, we're going to have Frost Wall and Spell Cascade. This is useless. I was testing something else out. With this enabled, when we blink, it's going to cast a Frost Wall, and then we're going to also detonate our minion. The time between a minion detonating and then your Frost Wall going up, there's enough time to where the wall appears, then the minion kills it. But not the second one. So as you move, you'll have the second one to blink behind you and kill more stuff behind you as you go through the maps. You can run Spell Echo and it will detonate that second one, but again, that just eats a slot that you don't really need because Ambush and Inevitable Critical are very important for this build. You want to be critting every single time. So, and then of course, Corpse Conservation so that we can do things like Simulacrum, Simulacrum without running out of minions, which can be a huge issue because they do not spawn corpses in the Delirium boss map. You can run Frostwall standalone without Cast On Dodge and still map and kill everything without that second Cast On Dodge. But when you get to a boss, you have to make this work, set it up with Frost Walls on him before you blink in and blow him up. Next, Skeletal Clerics. This is going to be our main minion detonate. You do not need brutes. You want them to have at least 30,000 HP. Mine have 35k. You want as much skill level. This is all scaling from minion scale level. 35k will net you killing anything in the game one shot. Ingenuity to make sure that your minions can revive each other quickly and respawn quickly. Last Gasp. Minion Mastery for skill. And Meat Shield. Last Gasp will help if, a mob hits or a boss happens to hit your minion and kill it. It will still sit there for you to detonate it. It's not necessary, but it is a nice quality of life. Sacrifice. Mandatory to make the build mechanic work to sacrifice your minions to detonate them. Grim Feast for survivability. Blink for mobility. Obviously triggering the main core function of our build. Arcane Tempo, very important in this build, as when I get into the gear and start talking about the Temporalis, even with a max cooldown Temporalis of, let's say, like mine, which is 3.77 seconds, you still need cast speed to be able to blink quickly. So without it, you blink slower. That's if you want it to go that fast, which I don't really recommend. You don't need it. So that's for our primary weapon swap. On our secondary, we'll have no minions. And only the cast on dodge with Frost Wall. We do not want to detonate on it. This will be for setting up boss fights where we can actually just go up to it, spam a bunch of walls, wait for the boss's life bar to appear, and then he's dead. And I will showcase that in a clip reel at the end or beginning of this video. Let's look on here. So when you, on your second set, which I've mainly stat pointed for survivability with energy shield and everything else, it's not a mandatory setup, but it's basically a nice quality of life to keep you from giving yourself a seizure as you're just trying to backtrack or loot for items, etc. You can disable the cast on dodge for doing that just to get around the maps. And you could have a manual frost wall set up. But that's all personal preference. Some people just want the one button gimmick, so we're gonna run with the one button gimmick for now. For our gear, start with the scepter. You're gonna need at least 200 spirit on this. You want to have as much as possible. They're pretty expensive for that, mainly with the +5 to minion skills. If you can get a +4 with a lot of spirit and a lot of minion life, get that until you can get this. The +5 really helps. Like, you really want to have as much minion HP as you can to keep us from having to swap to skeletal brutes, which is a mess. You just want to stick with one set of minions, no changes, no gem swaps, nothing before a boss fight. Just you map, you get to it, you kill it. That's the main goal for this build. It's just time efficiency. For your headpiece, more minion skill, critical hit chance, and then resists. And this is one of 3 pieces that we can get energy shield on. So it's very important. Well, 4 technically if we include the shield. So we want to get as much ES as we can with balancing our resists. It's truly a headache to do, but once you get it, you're good to go. For amulet, the same deal. You see a running trend. Minion skills, critical damage bonus here, and attributes. You want to get attributes wherever we can get them. Scepter, if you can get them on your headpiece, do it. If you can get it here, definitely do it and quality up the attributes, because you need a lot of them to run all the different skills. For level 20 skeletal clerics, you need 205 int, and then you also need 112 dex for your cast on dodge. Seem right. Seems low. It's not too bad, but you still need a lot, so it's not bad to spec into it. For your shield, you can get more ES here if you use the Mahazadals. This is really nice for just slamming elemental resist, and then it'll round out all your resist that you need for your build, and you can focus on getting other stats on your rings that you need. If you can't afford to get one of these, or after this broke your bank, or just want more DPS as you're building through the build and you're not one-shotting everything, you can use a Threaded Light. And the Threaded Light is absolutely insane. It will add over 600% DPS to you at its baseline, 10% spell damage per 10 spirit if you have enough spirit. Just keep... It's... Where I'm at, it's completely unnecessary, because I do so much DPS, I don't need it. But, yeah, this is a good alternative to run through the game. I could see maybe in a 6-man pinnacle fight where, you know, you're uneasy and you're not sure if you're going to one-shot it. This is just to make sure, the final nail in the coffin, that you nuke them. But you will lose rarity find, because you can get a lot of rarity find off of this as well. And that's where the true end game is going to be, is balancing this with resists and rarity find. Next up, you got your rings. Same deal. Attributes, Ellie resist. If you can get rarity, go for it. Attributes are the most important thing. Cast speed you can go with. I did. That helps your blink go faster. You don't need it. You can get it. Same thing, you could get more spirit from a Venter's Gamble, and it will slow down your blink speed. I'll show you here. So this is the Venter's Gamble speed. You can kind of glitch it by hitting left and right, but if you want to go really fast on maps, you know, gotta go fast, you can hit the 36% cast speed, and if you can get an Ingenuity, that'll scale even quicker and really scoop around. So, Outside of that, we have our gloves. Same deal. This is the other piece where we can get energy shield. Get as much as you can if you can. Over 200 would be really nice. I've been having trouble finding gloves with the stats that I want that aren't ridiculously priced. So crit damage, attributes. I prefer mana per enemy killed just to keep my mana up while it's spamming the frost walls, and it's a fairly light on mana build, but it can over time drain them in your life. So you could do life on kill or mana on kill. Same with your rings, whatever to balance it, and mana regen rate just to keep it up so that you don't have to hit a pot. Generally, you won't ever have to hit your pots, pretty much ever. Ingenuity, you could use a different belt with 2 sockets, have your stun and your freeze, and balance everything else out how you like. This is just a really nice quality of life booster. Trample Toe. This is the main core element of our build that's going to make this do insane damage. Without this, you still do good damage, but it's in no way the one-shot billion damage multiplier nightmare that this build can be. You don't need the 36% that I have corrupted. You can just go with the base 30%, and they're very, very cheap for what they do. Most builds in general, that if you can run a frost wall or some other killable wall, this will scale. I'm sure a lot of people, this is going around right now, and it might get nerfed. But maybe not before the next season. They've been around like this for over a month without being touched. Okay, so that's it for the items. Let's get to our passive tree here. All we're doing, it's very straightforward. It's one weapon set, because we're killing everything in one. The only thing I have swaps for is to have energy shield for set 2. If you're going back and looting, it can save your life. Just having a little extra ES doesn't hurt. Let's say a trash mob walks up and smacks you with some chaos damage, you won't die. For our main set, our walking around money, we're going to have everything into physical damage that we can and minion life, and crit damage and crit chance. I'll have the Path of Building link up on the build guide that's up on Mobilytics right now. The trees in there as well. Everything's pretty straightforward. It's just physical damage. We're nuking our minions, sacrificing them, and using their physical damage from Detonate Dead to kill everything off the walls. For our jewels, this is where it gets a little more expensive. You're going to want an Against the Darkness in this area, and I've only allocated like this node here and went into these nodes in general so that this can get more spirit for me. You don't need anything else important on the second stat. You could do resists and keep it cheaper. I'm not sure how much they go for. This one was expensive with the max roll on chaos damage because it was from a different build that I did. But really nice to get extra spirit for this build. With that, we're going to also be using 3 Grand Spectrum Emeralds to increase our spirit again. And they all bounce off each other and increase, like losing one of them, we lose 42 spirit. Those are really nice and a must-have. The only jewel that you're going to get that's a regular jewel is a crit hit chance, critical damage bonus, and spell damage jewel. Then, luckily, these are cheap right now. A Prism of Belief for +3 level to all skeletal cleric skills. This is nice because we don't need brutes. Everyone's buying brutes and going for Detonate Dead for the most damage with their brute HP. Like, I had mine at like 95,000 HP, and I spent like 50 divine on that jewel. It was absurd, and you don't need it. You just need this. This is the only thing you need. And this will give us 3 levels to our skeletal clerics to get them at 34. Again, the highest level you can get it. I can't think that I'm missing any more for them. I think 34 is as high as you can go. Yeah. So 33, 34 should be your goal. Outside of this, I only have these nodes allocated in this video because I've been playing around with trying to figure out how to make this jewel work. I'm not going to go into it too much because I'm not 100% on it. It does allow me to use this War Tactics node, which is fantastic for the build. But with the Songworthy Deeds, I'm not sure how it factors, and I don't think it's a really good piece to advise anyone to get. This is also another thing that was really nice about it, is it converts my strength bonus into energy shield instead of life. You lose DPS on your life for crit damage from Blood Mage, but at the end of the day, that's negligible. And it adds about 700 energy shield until I can figure out or get more levels and spec into more ES where it would actually be worth the 50 divine these things cost. I don't recommend even looking at it. So you get this, and I spec these into crit damage and crit chance in the build guide on Path of Building. For Ascendancy Tree, the nightmare that Blood Mage is, wasting 2 points, you're going to go around the left side for as much crit as we can get. And then I spec'd into... bleeding is negligible. So essentially this is a wasted node, but this is nice because you get 10% of damage as extra physical damage, which also scales nicely. You can spec into Life Leech if you want, but if you have life on kill on your gloves or on a ring, this does essentially nothing for you because everything's dead. Nothing is hitting you. If you're getting hit, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, that's it for the tree. And again, set 1. Just blowing everything up. Set 2. Set up ice walls. You're looking at Zesh, you're saying how you going, and goodbye. That's it. That's it for the build guide. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed the build. I know it's incredibly expensive, so feel free to make fun of me in the comments all you want. It's a really fun build to play if you can afford to make it. And let's start the highlight reel of me blowing shit up. Peace.